Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. In this session, we will be discussing from the 18th verse of the 17th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Navayam klesha bijani yatasyu purusharshabha purusham tam vijanimo vakya bheda vimohitaha. Dharma is replying to Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj asked Dharma, who is the cause of your suffering? So now Dharma's particular reply to Parikshit Maharaj. What is he telling? O greatest among human beings, it is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings, because we are bewildered by all the different opinions of theoretical philosophers. So what does this mean? It's difficult to ascertain the actual cause of our suffering because so many different theories exist as to the real cause of some suffering in this world. So Srila Prabhupada says, there are many, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, there are many theoretical philosophers in the world who put forward their own theories of cause and effect, especially about the cause of suffering and its effect on different living beings. See, one thing is very common among all living beings, all human beings at least. Nobody wants suffering. Everybody wants to enjoy without any suffering. But even if somebody does not want suffering, there is suffering in this world which practically everybody has to go through, to different degrees, of course. Not that everyone suffers the same extent, but suffering is definitely there in this world. This is the truth about material existence is, material existence means there will be suffering. So what is the real cause of suffering and how to get rid of this suffering? That is a whole discussion that is now going to happen. So Srila Prabhupada says about the statement of Dharma that there are many theoretical philosophers. Prabhupada says generally there are 6 great philosophers. Who are the 6 great philosophers? The first one is Kanada, the author of Vaisheshika philosophy. I'll just briefly explain what these philosophies are. First, let me read this out in Prabhupada's purport. The first one is Kanada Rishi. He was a great sage in former times, Vedic times. He is the author of Vaisheshika philosophy. Then there is the second one, the second sage, Rishi, Gautama Rishi, the author of logic. Logic means Nyaya Shastra. Nyaya Shastra. The third one, the third great philosopher is Patanjali. You have heard this name very much. Patanjali Rishi, the author of Mystic Yoga. Mystic Yoga means Ashtanga Yoga, Hatha Yoga. Then the fourth one, the fourth great philosopher is Kapila, the author of Sankhya philosophy. This Kapila is Nirishwara Kapila. In the Bhagavatam, there is a mention of Kapila, who is the son of Devahuti, the incarnation of the Supreme Lord. The Kapila mentioned in this purport here among the 6 great philosophers is not that incarnation Kapila. This is another later Kapila in recent times, much after the ancient incarnation of the Supreme Lord Kapila. There is another Kapila, same name, and the philosophy is also the same name, Sankhya philosophy, but the two are totally different. So fourth one is Nirishwara Kapila, the author of Sankhya philosophy. Then the fifth one is Jaimini Rishi, the author of Karma Mimamsa philosophy. And the last one, the sixth one, is Vyasadeva, our Vyasa, the author of Bhagavatam, the author of Vedanta Sutra, the one who compiled all the Vedas. He has given us what is called as Vedanta philosophy, Vedanta Darshana. So 6 philosophers, 6 philosophies, and I will try to briefly mention what each of these philosophies are, though there is a lot more explained by Prabhupada elsewhere about these philosophies. But briefly I'll just mention. Let me complete this purport. Although the bull or the personality of religion and the cow, the personality of the earth, knew perfectly well that the personality of Kali was the direct cause of their sufferings, still, as devotees of the Lord, they knew well also that without the sanction of the Lord, no one could inflict trouble upon them. So, the analysis of who is the cause of my problem, if I am suffering, then who is the cause? So, there is a direct cause of the immediate cause. Immediate cause or direct cause. Now, in the case of the cow and the bull, Kali Purusha, who was actually beating the cow, was the immediate cause. But that immediate cause is not the only cause. So, in this world, there are always a series of causes and effects for any happening. To give an example, if there is rainfall, the cause of the rainfall, immediate cause, is the rain-bearing cloud. The rain-bearing cloud. Now, the cause of the cloud, rain-bearing cloud, is the sun who evaporates water from the huge water bodies on this earth planet, and the clouds are formed which contain the water in a vapor state, water vapor, evaporated water is there in the cloud form. And then that cloud, which has gathered sufficient water vapor, it will condense. The vapor will become into water, and that water is poured down by the cloud at the appropriate time, like rainy season, to give an example. Now, what is the cause of the sun, the action of the sun, or who or what is the cause? So, like this, we can analyze a series of causes and effects. So, here we should understand that the direct cause or the immediate cause is Kali Purusha. But, as Prabhupada mentions, nothing in this world takes place if there is no sanction of the Paramatma seated in everyone's heart. So, without Paramatma's sanction, Kali Purusha cannot inflict suffering upon the cow or the bull. So, there is some role of Paramatma also, who sanctions the Kali Purusha to inflict suffering upon the cow and the bull. So, therefore, the bull is correctly, Dharma is correctly pointing out that it's not so easy to identify the exact cause of our suffering. And if we try to analyze all the different causes, then it is complicated to analyze the various causes, because there are different philosophers who tell there are different kinds of causes leading to a particular suffering. So Srila Prabhupada says from the authoritative scriptures, according to the Padma Purana, which is the authentic scripture explaining this causes and effects, our present trouble, if we are suffering now, is due to the fructifying of seedling sins. There is Papa Bija within our heart, everybody's heart. Everyone who's taken birth in this material world by force of karma has got in their heart what is called as Papa Bija, seedling sins. But even those seedling sins also gradually fade away by execution of pure devotional service. Anybody's suffering is due to their own sinful activities performed in the past, and those sinful activities which they performed in the past resulted in Papa Bija being put in their heart, and that Papa Bija will gradually develop into Papa Phala, and that Papa Phala is what we experience as suffering. Different kinds of suffering, depending on different kinds of Papa Phala. So, but somebody who performs pure devotional service, all the Papa Bijas are completely destroyed before they can fructify. So we become free from suffering because we are freed of sinful reactions by performing pure devotional service. Thus, even if the devotees see the mischief mongers, they do not accuse them for the suffering inflicted. They take it for granted that the mischief monger is made to act by some indirect cause, and therefore they tolerate the sufferings, thinking them to be God-given in small doses, for otherwise the suffering should have been greater. Whatever a devotee suffers, he thinks that by Krishna's mercy the suffering is minimized, token suffering. Otherwise, if I had not taken to devotional service, if Krishna would not have intervened in my life, I would have suffered much more due to my past sinful activities. So a devotee considers what I am getting as suffering now is very minimal, and let me tolerate that by the grace of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So it is further told by Prabhupada, Maharaj Parikshit wanted to get a statement of accusation against the direct mischief monger, but they, the cow and the bull, declined to give it on the above mentioned grounds. They said if we try to analyze, we are not able to analyze exactly who is responsible. Speculative philosophers, however, do not recognize the sanction of the Lord. Devotees, they directly understand, they clearly understand, they directly say that ultimately The sanction of the Lord is the ultimate cause of all causes. But the theoretical philosophers, the other five, other than Vyasadeva, the other five philosophers, they do not recognize the role of the Paramatma. They try to find out the cause of suffering in their own way. They have their own analysis. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, such speculators are themselves bewildered, and thus they cannot know the ultimate cause of all causes, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. They cannot know that. The theoretical philosophers are bewildered. So when they try to analyze, their brain doesn't work perfectly. They're not able to see the ultimate cause, Krishna, in all circumstances, in all cases, in all conditions. That they are unable to see. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.